Eskerma, Huladunia, Agus Falche, Herashku, and Channel Akam is Mishe Orange Zeppelin, and it is time once again to take a look at my Hobonichi 5-year journal. We are coming up on, we actually are very much on year number 3. Now, if you've seen my previous video, and if you noticed that the intro of this video was not in English, you'll already know what the main gimmick, not really gimmick, but the main intention of this journal is. And that is that this whole journal has been written, for the most part, in Scottish Gaelic, or Gaelic, as you'll hear it called when you're actually speaking the language. And this is basically how I'm tracking my progress with the language. Normally, in the past, when I've attempted to write in journals, it's not been super successful. I don't know, writing every day, trying to come up with something interesting to say every day, usually doesn't work out too well. I don't always have anything interesting to say even in this, but what I can do is answer the question, Kimarava Anchiche. And that ends up being what I write about quite a bit, is what was the weather that day, which is, it's funny because that's almost exactly what my mom also writes in her 5-year, which, incidentally, because I do have this right here, my 5-year, this is what 2 years of journaling looks like. This is my mom's fully completed 5-year journal. I'm not going to be flipping through this one at all. I'm going to be keeping this one a secret. I don't want you guys knowing what my mom was knitting on October the 17th of 2020. But this right here, that is 5 years compared to 2. And I also have the 5-year that my mom is just now starting. That's what the brand spanking new one looks like. So you can see how much this thickens up over the years. I am half expecting mine to eventually exceed this in thickness. Well, it depends on what we got in here, but I do have quite a bit of illustrations, which we will be seeing here in just a bit. I have written all of my dates in Gaelic or all of my month names in Gaelic, because that's something I have been struggling with remembering, but I have been working on it. Eventually I will figure it out. And you can already see that there has been, I think this is actually a good example of my handwriting improving, because my first entry, it wasn't fantastic. I was able to write a heck of a lot more in 2023. I didn't really have space this year, actually, because I put the cute little stickery tape thing in here, and then I ended up with not very much space to say what the weather was like, which, as I said here, Gleithnock, very nice. But you will see very quickly, actually, this is a good example, that I've got some kind of short little broken statements, but I can write a significantly better, fuller sentence. I also have, I think for every single day this year, I have listed the day of the week. So this is a good example of where occasionally I wanted to say I did something and I didn't know how to say it in Gaelic. And so I just went back into English. This is interesting because I'm talking about a Secret Santa event still happening in January, which there's a Secret Santa event I've helped out in many years in a row on a particular forum, and it seems like something goes completely wrong every single year. This year, 2023, might have been the first year that we got everything done by Christmas, more or less. Maybe a handful of emergency gifts had to be made, but I was helping out with the Secret Santa event into January. I think one year it even went into February. It is at least a little bit of a disaster every single year. And speaking of disasters, this year started with me getting sick, very, very sick, multiple months in a row. I was laid up in bed, not having a good time at all. But I drew Wes Johnson, my favorite voice actor. He is a adorable man. I was watching a live stream of him while I was sick because he is very relaxing. I also was documenting my progress in Skyrim. In 2022, I was playing Skyrim on a very regular basis. I had a playthrough that lasted quite a long time. This is the day, or at least it is around the day, that I defeated Alduin, which is basically your final main thing in the Skyrim game. Not to spoil a game that's been out for 12 years at this point, in case anybody's sitting there, no, don't tell me what happens at the end of Skyrim. That being said, a lot of people have said they've probably not played through the entire main storyline of Skyrim. They just get distracted and start doing other things, which I understand. I was still sick here. Oh, I remember, so there was a little bit of a mistake when this one was written. We had a massive, massive storm. We had a power outage that lasted, I don't even remember how many hours. It was basically out all day. Our town was cut off from the rest of the world, essentially, because so much flooding had us just blocked off. That was really insane. This is actually a very timely thing to be reading, because just the other day I had quite the adventure trying to get to work, because there is a particular road I always take next to a parking lot that is inclined to flood, and it was actually around this time, once it was safe to get out after that massive storm, I did ride my bike out and passed by that parking lot. There was a sinkhole, as I noticed, about 5 feet wide, maybe that deep in the parking lot. And that's what was flooded just the other day. And I had a very interesting time getting to work, as I said. And I was sick the entire time. So that was not a fun time at all. But then I started playing Oblivion, which you will see I did a lot of tracking what kind of video games I was playing around that time, which that got me an idea that I haven't really done a whole lot with recently. Actually, let me pause and grab something real quick. Alright, I have not done anything with this in a little while, because specifically I was going to do a Gaelic journal based off of my Fallout playthrough, and I'm finding that my vocabulary simply is not good enough to articulate how I'm surviving in a wasteland. I have a specific sort of things I can talk about in Gaelic, mostly the weather, food. I can say Chanil Drahish Urim. But there were some attempts to articulate what I'm doing in the town of Sanctuary. That's your town where you start out in the game. And you can rebuild this town. And so I was taking little notes about, okay, this is the layout of this building I made. There's my character's old house. What are things we need? And it's kind of like this is something my character is writing down, and she's keeping track of all the things she needs to gather. She finds a dog. You find a dog in that game, and the dog follows you around, and he's a very good boy, very cute. And then I've got kind of notes about things she's going to be bringing with her on a journey to find more people and supplies. And that's kind of as far as I got, because I did realize, okay, I need a specialized vocabulary in order to get this to work. It's going to take a little bit. Oh, I had some attempts to write in Unseal script, and you'll see some much better Unseal in the future. I do want to do more of these little Celtic art illuminated manuscript things. And also, take a drink every single time you see me write a variant of Hami Hoski, and you will be absolutely plastered, because what that means is I'm so tired, and I very often am writing these in the evening, when sometimes the only thing on my mind is that I am very tired. So there is an argument for not waiting I think this is a fantastic example of how much my Gaelic improved, because this is an entry of me just saying what color my cats are. Here, there's so much more being said. I have improved immensely. This one is funny because I have each year there's some kind of complaint that is specific to Duolingo. There's one where I couldn't figure out how Gaelic articles worked. It's actually super easy, but I had to dig around to find the explanation. Once I did find the explanation, it made perfect sense. But here, I was just complaining about the massive update on Duolingo here. Actually, here... Oh my goodness. In 2022, I used Duolingo on the website instead of just the app and found the course tips. And of course, I have written fucking lol because these course tips no longer exist because God forbid the language learning app teach you the language. Can you tell I'm salty? I'm very salty. But in much more positive news, last year was Year of the Rabbit for the Lunar New Year, so that is what I illustrated. This year is Year of the Dragon, and I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming it means something really cool because dragons are just objectively very, very cool. Oh, I've got our Drahish. I might need to post that on the Duolingo, the Scottish Gaelic Duolingo Facebook, because if you have done the Gaelic course, the Duolingo Gaelic course, you'll know why this is a bit of an inside joke. There's a lot of people wearing underpants, people not wearing underpants, people stealing underpants. It's a consistent theme with the course. Oh, I love that drawing. This was an interesting day. It actually started pretty fantastic. It was a really pretty day. I went to paint our smokestacks. We have some smokestacks in our town that they keep saying they're going to tear them down and then they don't. And I keep saying I'm going to paint them before they tear them down, and I haven't. So it's a good thing they haven't torn them down yet, because I haven't gotten around to that painting. But I was about to say I could probably do it on my lunch break. Just go out with my paints. No, I can't freaking try to do that on my lunch break. But it's been a while since I did any plein air painting. That might make for a fun video. I even had a perfect spot to do the painting from. And then there's an internet personality, infamous internet personality, Jack Scalfani. If you look up Aunt Myrna's party cheese salad, that's all you really need to know. It was initially reported that he had a heart attack. It turned out he might have also had a heart attack, but then it turned out it might have been his 5th stroke. And again, if you've seen any of this guy's videos, you'll understand why he's on stroke number 5. And I guess I got super stressed out that day. I don't know if it was, oh my God, Jack Scalfani's had another stroke. Is this it? I have to follow the drama. I think there was other things I was doing, but I remember just being weirdly stressed out that whole afternoon. And it was so stupid because I did have a really nice morning. I did this little sketch in my journal, and I had a really interesting conversation with a guy. He was a photographer. He was asking what I was doing in my planner here, asking if I was painting, and then he made a comment terrible lighting, just absolutely terrible. Can't get any detail at all. And at first I was thinking, really? It's a super bright sunny day, but then I looked at the rock and I'm thinking, yeah, all the light is shining straight at the rock, and so you don't get the contrast of all the rocky texture. It's got a huge amount of texture. It's very, very interesting to draw and paint. And at this particular time of day, you didn't really get enough contrast to make for a really good picture. And so, let's see, I was out at high noon, and he was saying probably around 3 p.m. is when the lighting would have been better. So I thought that was really interesting because I got a photographer's perspective on something that I was looking at from a painter perspective, basically. Oh, I had fruitcake. I think I know what that fruitcake was. This is the 30th of January, and there was some leftover fruitcake. I bet this is the fruitcake that somebody brought to the wildlife clinic, because they probably didn't want to frickin' eat it. This was the day. So at the end of December 2022, I was pissed off enough about the Duolingo update that I decided, you know what, I'm gonna break my streak in protest. I was about 580 something days in. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I broke my streak in protest. I didn't use it at all in January. And I figured, you know what, it is helpful for getting me to practice every single day, even though I'm writing in my journal every day. I feel like just warming up with Duolingo and then going to another source is really helpful for my Gaelic studies. So this is the point I went crawling back to Duolingo. This day I remember because I went to the post office and then there was something I was going to buy. It was nail clippers for my cats, and I went to several different places, didn't find them anywhere. There was some other thing I was going to do that didn't work out, but I went to the bakery and I ate an apricot turnover, so I figured that's a successful day. If I ate an apricot turnover, that's a good day. This also is a lovely day. This page has a secret significance to it, but it is very wholesome nonetheless. Our little dog friend. Let's see, anything exciting? Oh, there's my kitty. So this is, we took Catullus to the vet a couple days prior, back in 2023, because he was very, very skinny, and we were trying to figure out why is he a stick, and we found out that he has some pretty bad thyroid issues, and we've actually got this taken care of at this point. He is on a medication. He takes a little topical medication that goes on his ear twice a day, every day, basically for the rest of his life. But he has gained quite a bit of weight since then. I think I feel like he's going to start leaning on the side of chunky before too long. He's actually going to squish up quite a bit. Oh, this was a fun day. So this kind of looks like nothing. This is also the rock. This is a very, very beautiful day. I went out on my bike to go to McDonald's. One thing I think is really funny in these entries where I'll have all this lovely Gaelic that I've written and suddenly you just see McDonald's, which actually McDonald that's a Scottish name. I can write the Gaelic form. Next time I go to McDonald's, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write the Gaelic form. Apparently I had a tummy ache that day. That's what I wrote. Now here's something I think I need to be doing more often for 2024. If I learn a new word, I should maybe do an entry that's not even just, this is what I did today, this is what I ate, I cleaned the toilet, whatever I usually write. I need to focus on words that I have come across and do something based around that word, because that's going to help the word stick in my mind. Like when I was doing the page spreads with different fruits and things, putting that over there, because that will be ultimately a lot more helpful than doing what I'm doing right now, which is talking about how I drank far too much coffee, apparently. I also think I should be doing a lot more of these little doodles where I'm not even writing a full entry. I've just got a little doodle practicing some kind of statement. And here we are. Here we are on the second illness of 2023. This one was this was the big Rona itself. This is the one time I've ever tested positive. And what I was trying to articulate here, I was trying to say, I feel like shit. I don't know if that's proper Gaelic at all, but that was the best I could do given the amount of brain cells I had functioning. And you can already see, maybe not super obviously, the decline in handwriting quality. This is the day where I think the most anything I was able to do is just write that, basically. I was not in good sorts, and I remained not in very good sorts for several days, which I did still attempt to do several videos that I really should have just waited on. My voice sounded horrible. I don't know why I'm like this. Several days I couldn't taste anything. And I was still trying to get a whole bunch of stuff done. But I did feel significantly better on this day, and I ended up making some cookies because I wanted to celebrate a much more positive state of health. Again, we had another power outage because that's what happens when it rains. Let's see. I'm going to try to pick up the pace here because I'm already on 25 minutes. Ooh, I'll be able to fill this out this year. I'm actually pretty excited to do that. I will try to just get that to all be text, and then I'll fill that up with some art, whatever that may be. Oh, hell yeah. I did that one last year. This was Simon Bisley's birthday, and this is why I drew this particular illustration. Simon Bisley is my favorite artist, and he has worked on the Slania comics, and I love how this turned out. Let's see, this I drew last year, and then I went through, and you can see I put a different speech bubble on it because I wanted this just made more sense for what I was going for. This is Diogenes doing his Behold a Man. And this is what I was talking about when I've learned new words and I want to actually use them, help them stick. So I had learned all these parts of the body and decided to just draw something really stupid to help it stick. I need to do this more often. Oh, this was Mario Day. That's why I drew Mario and Bowser. Hell yeah, we got St. Patrick's Day. I really like this particular ink color. I have a little bit of, illuminated manuscript-esque things going on, but I stepped it up the next day. Literally just to say I went skateboarding, which I think at this point, this might have been the last time I've been skating. I have not gone out in a while. I am rusty. I don't even think I remember how, but I want to do more of this just over-the-top illuminated manuscript type thing. I don't have a lot of space, but it'll look really cool. I feel like this was a day where the weather was actually really ugly, and what I ended up drawing was really gorgeous, which I have the opposite of that at some point, where it was a beautiful day, and I brought the worst materials for the job, and it ended up being this really hideous, dingy sky and really depressing illustration. This was fun because this day was the 20th anniversary of the release of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, which is still one of my absolute favorite Pokemon games, is Pokemon Ruby. And so this is a location in the game called the Abandoned Ship, and it's one of the places that I still really love the most in that game. It's a very interesting place to explore. Oh gosh, if you know, you know. My first freaking sentence is that they let Chris Chan out of jail. If you know, you know. I won't say anything. But a positive thing that happened that day, Fluyo, the Kickstarter campaign for a language learning app called Fluyo. Actually, it launched on this day. So, language learning app. The goal is that this thing's going to dethrone Duolingo. I don't know if it'll happen, but I'm very interested to see the future. I'm in the Discord for Fluyo. I backed Fluyo. It was fully backed in 28 minutes. It was nuts. So I am very, very excited to see where Fluyo is going to go. It'll be complicated because now they don't have a Gaelic course planned at all for Fluyo, so I was planning on learning German. That is going to mean that I'm going to try to learn multiple languages at once, and I know some people can do it, but I'm not some people, so I don't know. Well, I deep fried a Cadbury egg. That's a decision that I've made. This illustration, this is actually a location in the game Super Mario Sunshine, which is one of my favorite games. I was attempting to articulate what I was doing in Mario Sunshine, which that's actually a really good idea that I should be doing more often. It's online with my same vein as my Fallout journal. Oh, here's some beautiful Unseal script, interrupted, of course, by the words Burger King and Pokemon Go. Oh, I was writing about, I was playing Dragon Quest Builders 2 for a while, and so we ended up with some Dragon Quest Builders style art. It's got a bit of a Minecraft kind of building mechanics. Everything is it's like a block-based building system, except the characters look like actual cartoony people rather than weird block entities. I actually would have been skateboarding a lot sooner than St. Patrick's Day. But again, all this work to go skateboarding. Maybe I need to skate more often, and then I'll put more illuminated manuscript art in my planner. That seems to be the system. Oh, see, I skated that day. Check this lady out. She's having a great time. Oh, this guy I actually started in 2022 and then went in and added a lot more detail in 2023, and I way prefer how he looks now. He is much, much more finished. And I had a Hermaeus Mora painting I was working on. He is a character from the Elder Scrolls. He shows up in Skyrim. So I've got a little Hermaeus Mora happening there. I don't know how the hell I did it. This is the day I set a hot dog on fire in the oven. The one time I've ever had a fire in the kitchen. I learned a very important lesson about bacon grease and ignition points and what happens when you decide to cook your hot dog and it's wrapped in bacon and you put that under the broiler. Don't do that. If you ever have a grease fire in your oven, what you should do, close the oven, turn off the heat, wait for it to die down, perhaps get some baking soda to put that fire out. For goodness sakes, don't get water. Then you've set your entire kitchen on fire, basically. But what I did is I just grabbed oven mitts, grabbed the pan, ripped it out of the oven, and just ran outside and put it on the ground. Don't actually do that. I wasn't thinking at the time, and while I am perfectly fine, that was not the optimal way to handle a grease fire in the kitchen. But I remember this is the time that I was working on both a Hermaeus Mora painting. I had a commission that wasn't exactly going well. I won't complain too much about it because I don't want to be bitchy about commissions. That is not a good look for anybody, but I was super tired. And this is also when Lee Week began. That is the week-long celebration of Christopher Lee, and I always do a lot of illustrations for that, and I was just super burnt out. So I'm going to have to tackle this time of year in 2024 a lot smarter than I did. Now this is a proud moment. This character, his name is El Piantissimo, and he is from Super Mario Sunshine, and I don't remember what my previous time was, my previous fastest time for beating the game, just doing the bare minimum you need. But my current fastest time is 3 hours and 49 minutes. That is still probably around 2 hours longer than the world's fastest time, but I'm proud of it, and so I drew my boy El Piantissimo, who is known for being very fast. So I've officially declared sub 4 hour time, you are now in the order of El Piantissimo. Hell yeah, this is Christopher Lee's birthday. And I actually started this, it was just a really not great little sketch that I did last year. And then, well, no, year before last, because it is now 2024. It's going to take me a while to adjust. But 2022, I just did a super simple sketch, and then 2023, I went back in and added a lot more detail. And I think it looks very cool. I think it is a good representation of the man. This is another thing that I went back in and added more to. My little coffee frog guy. Also mentioned Animal Crossing, which I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing lately. It's actually... Now, here's what I was doing. I was playing a little bit of Super Smash Bros., maybe this was in preparation for my friend Jake's birthday, because we always play Super Smash Bros. I'm not very good at it, but when I do, I play Captain Falcon because he's the coolest character. So there, I got my Captain Falcon here. Let's see, there's Jake's birthday. We did play some Smash Bros, Mario Kart, Mario Party. And the year before that, I drew him a little Gengar, because that's his favorite Pokemon. Now, this was a really fun day. This was back in 2022. My mom and I went down to one of my favorite coffee spots in town, and we split a burrito, and that was very tasty. This just says it all. Oh no, I'm writing a resume. That's a good way to describe that. My resume did turn out good, though. I didn't get that job, but that is okay, because I got a job that I am very, very happy with, which I will definitely be talking about later in the notebook. Let's just take the moment to look at my Star Wars. Look at how cool that is. All right, we have taken that moment. Well, this is when one of my friends lost their kitty. That was a very sad day. What is going on here? Was I working in the dark? I don't know what was going on with that. This is my mom's birthday, and why? I've got an onion. Actually, I know why I drew an onion. Now, here's something I don't do super often. I don't often tape things in to my journal, but I thought this would be fun because this was a coffee I had been drinking. I thought it would be neat to do a little something here. I'm probably going to go in this year and finish that up, because I do kind of leave some things unfinished, so I can go back in and add more. This is a Froggy Friends that I came across at the wildlife clinic. So the significance of the inverted hermit card. This is from when I heard about the job opening for the place that I currently work, and I was kind of thinking, should I go for it? Maybe. Is it a good idea? Spoiler alert, yes, it absolutely was a good idea. But I did a tarot reading, and one of the cards that I drew, it might have even been in my final result position. It was the Hermit inverted. So I think what the cards were telling me is to go outside and touch grass. I think that's what that means. But so far that has worked out tremendously well for me. This is the anniversary of the day I dropped a 10-pound barbell plate on my foot while lifting weights. I still kind of have a bump. The note I have here might not seem super, super interesting, where I'm talking about what attachments I'm cutting my hair with. But this is actually a momentous thing, because around this time, I don't remember, I didn't write the specific date, but I decided that maybe, just maybe, after 12 years of having the exact same hairstyle, it's time for a change, because I really did maintain a mohawk for 12 years before deciding, you know what, I think I'm allowed to move on. I think I'm allowed to do something else. And I actually am glad that I've changed it up. I liked my mohawk, but I like what I'm doing now. It's actually starting to look what I had in mind for the new hairstyle. I had to let it grow out a little bit. Oh, see, there's the job application. And there's my delicious, delicious coffee and my shortbread. And then I think I got a little bit of the psychosomatic job interview jitters, because this day I was worried I was getting sick. I wasn't getting sick. I ended up being perfectly fine. It was ugly weather. It was foggy. I might have just had a little bit of that psychosomatic nerves, because I ended up perfectly fine. And basically I went in for the job interview, and they're like, okay, yeah, you work here now. It was very easy. No stress at all. And I wasn't sick, so all was well. Actually, wait a minute. This was not the day I got the interview. This is the day I heard back and was setting up for the interview. This is the day I went in and was like, I want to work here. And they were like, okay, you work here now. All right. It was a little more involved than that, but very positive experience so far. This was a lovely day. My mom and I went to a Turkish coffee shop downtown. We got some baklava. We got some Turkish delight. It was a beautiful, beautiful place. I do not think that my painting in any way does justice to how pretty everything was. This right here, this is like super early into me working at the shop. We already had broken a sales record, so I felt pretty proud. And right here, I've got Master Roshi from the Dragon Ball series, and train hard and enjoy life is kind of how he summarizes his whole philosophy in life at some point. So I decided that's a positive message. I want to put that in here. This was a night that we had a super, super pretty sunset. And of course, I did not do it justice at all, but it was still fun to paint. Oh, this one I drew at work, and this is Karami. She is my favorite Sanrio character. She is very cute. I was also drinking iced coffee because it was freaking hot that day, and I needed some delicious iced coffee to power me through that shift. This is a noteworthy entry because it specifically has to do with my Gaelic learning. This is where I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reset all of my course progress in Duolingo, start fresh, pick up any gaps that I might have missed in the update. And this is when I discovered there's actually 2 different paths that you could possibly get sorted into when you start the Duolingo Gaelic course. I'm going to call it Course A and Course B. I had apparently been in Course A the whole time, and when I restarted, I got put in Course B, so some things are a little bit out of order. I'm getting to a point where I think it's starting to be the same as the old course, but I don't know. It's been interesting. I think it's actually been pretty helpful, as much as it has been a massive slog to get through. Going through things I already know. Initially in the beginning, that was a massive pain. This is the day our main water line exploded and I somehow slept through it. That's impressive. You sneeze 5 houses away and I wake up, and somehow I slept through a pipe exploding. That's impressive. This is something I added in. One of the rare examples of me taping something into the journal. And I drew a little Charmander. It was, I think, a Pokemon Go community day, and it was the Charmander day. It's either... Oh, it was the second that was the community day, because it was this day. I got a shiny Charmander, and Jimmy Buffett died. His death was not tied to the shiny Charmander, just these 2 things occurred. This day is the anniversary of me starting to learn Gaelic. So this is... Let's see, that was my 2-year point. That was also the anniversary of the day that Queen died. That was an interesting day indeed. That is a whole ass mood right there. Oh, this is a very fun day. I went to a coffee shop that I'd been to before. They had different owners at that point. It was a slightly awkward experience the first time I went there. Second time I went, when they had the new owners, that was a really enjoyable visit. Totally different ambiance. It's very comfy. It's super close to where I work, so I have gotten coffee there several times since, and it's been a very positive experience. I want to show off my Punisher illustration I did. A lot of this is done actually with Crayola markers, which surprisingly I think this might be some of the best marker I've used on the Hobonichi paper. The Crayola actually works very well, and it does not bleed through, and it looks very badass. So I think that is a win. Well, this is a painting I did at another one of my favorite coffee spots. I drew a little bee. I don't think there was actually any bees there. I just wanted to draw a bee because bees are cool. Now here, you already saw in my very first entry that I was writing in cursive. This right here is the first time I had tried to write in cursive in my journal anyway. I think I tried to write a little bit of cursive outside of my journal, and it was kind of spurred by a conversation about cursive and the value of cursive. Now, when I was a kid, I had some pretty dog shit handwriting, and up until just a couple years ago, I had some pretty dog shit handwriting. But I did start taking the time to improve my writing, specifically because I handwrite my comics and I want them to be very clear to read. I want it to not look like I had a stroke while writing it, and I've managed to get my handwriting much better, which you'll see in the book, in the journal. For the most part, it's like all caps, pretty neat. And so I decided, you know what? I am going to try to improve my cursive, which I mean, if my printing was bad as a kid, my cursive was even worse. And I didn't really care about improving it. I was told so many times I needed to have better cursive that I'm a little bit of a contrarian. So when you tell me, hey, you need to write better cursive, I would be like, I don't care. I will embrace my god-awful handwriting. But nowadays, when you see less and less people can write cursive, now having good cursive is in itself the contrarian thing to do. So that's kind of why I decided to get better at it out of spite. People say millennials can't write in cursive, and I'm like, I will take that as a challenge. This is the day that was beautiful, and then I brought pencils that just made everything look horrible and dingy. This is a pretty good representation of what my town looks like on an average day. It's either really beautiful or it just looks like whatever's going on there. This actually might be the point that my cursive started to look, I mean, this is a little shaky, but okay, this I think is some of the best cursive I was doing. Now, as comparison, the standard that I'm comparing myself to is my Grandma Virginia's cursive, which looked like that. This is the standard that I would like to someday achieve. Not necessarily exactly like this. I have different preferences, particularly how I like to draw capital G's. I like that a lot better than the G I was taught to write in, which I think is one of the things that I didn't like about cursive is I didn't like how my name, particularly my nickname, I didn't like how that looked in cursive. It's a very fussy G followed by a lot of scribbles. It kind of doesn't look too aesthetic. If you do a different G, it looks much nicer. This is a good example of something that I do want to do more of, which is just gonna draw a thing and write the Gaelic name, practice something that maybe I don't write about very often. I don't spend a lot of time writing about bears. I could change that. We could be writing way more about bears in the future. This was my birthday, and so I drew Karami having, once again, an iced coffee, because apparently I've decided Karami and iced coffee are inexorably tied together. But I got a goodie box from this skincare company, and I got some Sanrio themed skincare products, and those were very fun to use. I love this color here, this light purple. This is the color I would have been nuts for when I was a little kid. That was my favorite color. That also might be my most beautiful Jaluan. That is Monday. This was a wonderful occasion. This is the day that I sampled a culinary delight with my family. For the very first time, we tasted the wonders of canned haggis. And so in celebration, I illustrated the wild haggis. I taped the label for a Dragon Ball Z themed scented candle in here. I have a couple more candles from this company. I'm going to tape another one of their stickers. Another one of the labels on there, and then one of the free stickers I got. I'm going to stick that on top. We're going to have a whole otaku sense spread going on. Now here we go. This is an excellent way to practice a new language. It doesn't matter how stupid it is. If you're writing in a new language, you're practicing. If it means you're writing a little story about Hello Kitty, that 100% counts. At least that's what I'm telling myself. I kind of also just wanted to use up some of my Hello Kitty stickers. Now this might look disgusting that I put an ulcer syringe label in here. I swear there is a point to this. Give me 1 second here. Now, if you're fond of fountain pens, you'll know that these right here are exceptionally good for cleaning fountain pens. It's just that it has a other intended purpose. So my mom had set up a homemade advent calendar for me with a bunch of different art supplies. And the very first thing I open up is one of these, which that's fantastic. I have my own pen cleaning thing. It's just, it was in the ear ulcer syringe package. So I knew exactly what it was for. I just think that was funny. Oh, here's an interesting juxtaposition. We've got Hermaeus Mora and then the Christmas parade. On this day, I learned the phrase Pug Mahun, kiss my ass. Always a useful phrase. Oh, heck yeah, I got some Animal Crossing themed holiday happiness. This massive smeary mess here just got all over my espresso machine sticker. Oh, this was fun. This is something I did. It was for a collaborative art project, an art prompt. And so I was just drawing this little character and decided to stick her in my 5-year, collage her in with some stickers and other things. It does make this page a little bit sticky and a little bit clunky, so that was a little bit of a pain, but I do like how it turned out. It is very cute. This one I did just the other day at work. This is actually, I wasn't even looking at my Charmander when I illustrated it. It's actually really similar. So I love how my Charmander turned out. It doesn't totally look like the art style of Pokemon, but I like how he looks. I like how he turned out. He looks very badass. I wanted him to have like a chunkier sort of physique. We've got these enamel pins at the shop that have this very chunky Gen 1 look to Charizard. So that's kind of what I was going for there. And that actually takes us to the end of the year. I've made some little notes about my progress. I feel like it hasn't been as... I haven't made as much progress with Gaelic as I would like. I can see, just looking at the 2 full years, that I have gotten way better since last year. And at this point, I can really identify what it is I want to do in my entries. And it's not even necessarily writing what I did that day, but doing more of the, I've learned a new word, let me find a way to use it. And I might actually jump back to the printing just to make my writing more clear, because I do like the cursive. It is fun, but I need to do some more cursive specific practice outside of the planner. I don't have a lot of space to write in. I feel like my cursive isn't good enough for me to write in very small spaces. Maybe Grandma could have accomplished it, but right now I don't know if I can. So I think I'm going to go back to printing. Maybe I'm going to stick with the cursive days of the week, because I like how that looks. I definitely want to practice my capitals in cursive, because I'm consistently noticing that I just won't remember how to do certain letters as a capital. And maybe I should say, if I've learned a new word, I have to somehow squeeze it into a sentence. Can I use it as much as possible, get it into my head, and just do more writing outside of my journal, because that will really help it stick in. Even writing something stupid, like I have a Dragon Quest XI story that I was writing in Gaelic, and it's basically written at preschool level, but it's being written, and I think it is helpful. And one of the things I would like to do very, very soon is I want to do a video that kind of goes into more depth of how I am journaling for language learning and things that I'm doing outside of my journal, things I'm doing in other planners. Basically, what is my method here? Because mostly this was just me going through and showing off the art stuff I'm doing, what I'm doing with making my handwriting look a lot less terrible than it used to be. I think it actually looks pretty darn good now. People tell me I have good handwriting. I think that is an accomplishment. And mostly I'm just really happy that I have maintained this habit for, at this point, 2 full years. And I'm very excited to see how it's going to look in 5 and how chunky that this journal is going to look. So on that note, thank you guys so much for joining me on this journey. I will definitely be posting a video very soon about my specific language learning journaling strategies. But until next time, I hope you have a great time. I don't know, making art, studying, writing, whatever makes you happy.